Hello everyone. In today's video lecture series, I am here to present on the topic Index Properties of Soil. As we all know, soil is classified majorly into two different groups. One is fine-grained soil and the other is coarse-grained soil. Coarse-grained soil represents the cohesionless soil in which there is no intermolecular attraction between the soil particles. And fine-grained soil represents cohesive soils in which there is intermolecular attraction between the soil particles on reaction with water. So the index properties listed below are particle size distribution, relative density, plasticity, consistency, sensitivity, thixotropy and activity. Relative density holds good only for coarse grained soil such as sand, whereas all the other properties, plasticity, consistency, sensitivity, thixotropy and activity holds good only for fine-grained soils such as clayey soils. Particle size distribution represents the classification of soil based on various sizes. So let me explain briefly about particle size distribution of soil. It is the distribution of particles of different sizes in a soil mass. It is also called as grading of soils. It is classified into four different categories based on the particle size. One is gravel, the particle size greater than 4.75 mm, and next one is sand, particle size ranging between 4.75 mm and 75 micron, and silt and clay of having particle size less than 75 micron. Especially clay contains particle size less than 2 micron. It is represented in the form of a graph, and the curve is known as gradation curve, which represents the distribution of particles of different sizes in a soil mass. The particle size is taken along the x-axis in mm in semi-log scale, whereas percentage finer is taken along the y-axis in ordinary scale. Application of particle size distribution curve is to classify the soil based on the particle size. Next is to select the materials for construction of roads and also for concrete. Next is to find out the effective size of soil, which is based on D10 value, which can be correlated with permeability and also can be used in design of various filters to purify water in the process of sedimentation. So the gradation curve is further classified into three different types. One is well graded, next is uniformly graded, and the third is gap graded. The well graded soil contains particles of various sizes in equal proportions. It contains particles of all sizes ranging from 4.75 mm to 75 micron, which is distributed in definite proportion. Whereas in case of gap graded soil, a certain size of particle will be found missing. So in that case, a depression is found in that gradation curve. So in case of poorly graded soil, it contains a random orientation of soil particles which is not distributed uniformly. So coarse grained soil are those which contains particle size greater than 0.075 mm, whereas fine grained soils contains particles smaller than 0.075 mm, that is 75 microns. So this is a pictorial representation of coarse grained and fine grained soil. So next is conduction of sieve analysis. as per Indian standard methods. It is a process of determining the particle size of soil with the help of various sieve sets, which is set to agitate in a vibrator known as sieve shaker. The sieve sets are arranged in descending order ranging from 80 mm, 40 mm, 20 mm, 10 mm, 4.75 mm, 2 mm, 1 mm, 600 micron, 425 micron, 300 micron, 150 micron and 75 micron, and collected pan is fitted at the bottom. The sieve sizes are represented by the size of square opening in mm or microns ranging from 80 mm to 75 micron. So the core sieve sets size ranges from 80 mm to 4.75 mm, whereas fine sieve sizes ranges from 2 mm to 75 micron. So the procedure for conducting sieve analysis: the soil sample is taken in suitable quantity and it is allowed to dry in the microwave oven for 24 hours. The sample is sieved through a 4.75 mm sieve. The portion retained on the sieve is the gravel fraction. The gravel fraction is sieved through a set of core sieves manually or by using a mechanical sieve shaker. The weight of soil retained on each sieve is obtained, which should be equal to the quantity of soil taken initially. The minus 4.75 mm fraction is sieved through a set of fine sieves, that is from 2 mm to 75 micron. The weight of soil retained on each sieve and pan is obtained, and a graph is plotted against particle diameter along x-axis and percent finer along the y-axis. So various terminologies followed in particle size distribution are: percentage finer, it is the percentage of particles which are finer than a particular size; and effective size, if 10% of soil mass is smaller than a particular size, that size is called D10. Next is coefficient of uniformity. It is a ratio between D10 and D60, and coefficient of curvature is the ratio between square of D30 to the product of D10 and D60. So D60 is the diameter of particles corresponding to 60% fines, and D30 is the diameter of particles corresponding to 30% fines. So next property is relative density. It is an important property representing cohesionless soil, which is also called as a density index. It is defined as the ratio between the difference between the natural void ratio and the void ratio in the densest state to the difference of void ratio at densest and loosest state. Next is plasticity. It is the ability of soil to undergo deformation without cracking or fracturing on addition of water. Plasticity in soils is due to presence of adsorbed water in clay and silt containing clay minerals. So there are various consistency limits of soil which represents the amount of water content which is used to identify the different state of soil. First one is solid state, which contains zero water content. On further addition of water, it gets converted into semi-solid, and also upon further addition it is converted to plastic state, and finally it attains liquid state on adding a certain amount of water. So boundary water contents, which represents different phases of soil, is termed as consistency index or Atterberg limits of soil. So thank you for listening to this video. Have a good day.